In the last class, in the last program, what we had done was we started with a small concept called text to speech and speech to text. Okay, and in the first part of the program, I've already done taking a text from the user. When you click on this button, I've just used the text to speech object by creating it. Okay, passing two parameters. One is the context, the other one is the init listener. And as soon as this text to speech has been initialized, I'm checking the status of text to speech in my phone. Okay, if the status returns success, then I try to set the language of the text to speech object to English. All right, because I want English in this particular program. And if that returns saying that the language is not supported or that language's data, whichever language you have passed here, is missing, okay, and then I'm going to put a toast saying that text to speech is not available for this particular language. All right, and in my case, this if condition will never get executed because emulators or whichever Android phone you take up, English will be compulsorily there in that phone. Okay, there might be other languages support or maybe that is set as the default, but English will be there as part of the language of your any Android phone for that sake. That is why even though this code will not be executed in my emulator, I'm writing this to so that you know that there is a general way in which you write program. So this, if it is replaced with French or German or Korean or something like that, and the language is not available, your program should not work. So as soon as you create this or open this particular activity, I'm going to say text to speech is not available. All right, and I can also disable the speak button in this line itself if at all this if condition is satisfied. Okay, now in our case, nothing will happen. Only thing is it will set the language to English. That's all. So only one line, but I've written the extra ones for your understanding. Okay, so that is TTS. Let's stop there. And then when you click on that particular button, what did you do? Okay, when you click on the speak button, I read or get the data, what is there in that particular text box which you have put here. Okay, the text box which is here, get the data from the text box and store it in a string, and then call this method which says speak text and pass the text what you have entered in the text box. So where is this method speak text? I created it separately. You can see this here. It just has one line of code. It just says TTS, the text to object, the text to speech object, and call that speak and pass the message what you want me to speak. So whatever you pass to this method, I'll speak that. And what is the queue? Okay, queue is that when there are more than one sentence to be spoken, okay, when you say flush, while the first sentence is being spoken, the second sentence, if it is asked to be spoken, the first sentence will be cleared and the second sentence will be spoken immediately. But if I say queue underscore add, it will wait till the first sentence gets over, then the second sentence will get added to that queue. That's all. Okay, that's why we put this. I explained this yesterday. So that's the first part of the program. And the second part of the program is you click on this button, the second button which is there in the screen, and I want Google to bring the mic up, okay, and ask me to say something or speak something. Okay, when I say a command, when I say something, I want that to be recognized by my activity. When I click on this button, I want Google's mic to come forward, and when I finish speaking, whatever I've spoken into that mic should come in this particular text box. This was my target yesterday. And how did we achieve it? Okay, let me just repeat what I did yesterday. When you click on the second button, which is voice command button, I'm calling this method called voice command. So let me go to that voice command method. Here you see I'm creating an intent. Why am I creating an intent? Because even though it looks like you're still in the same activity, basically another activity is coming on top. Okay, which means what happens to my activity? My activity goes on pause. It is not going on stop because it's still visible on the screen. Okay, but it is not interactive because this one is on top. The mic is on top. All right, so Google, you saw yesterday, right? So Google's mic was on top, and that is called as a recognizer intent. All right, and what type of an intent this is? This is not an explicit intent. I did not say explicitly Google's mic. Okay, whoever is possible to recognize, okay, a speech, bring them up. Okay, now if you have, instead of Google mic, if you had another mic or another artificial intelligence based mic, like for example Alexa, okay, so your system will ask you permission saying that which one do you want to access, because even Alexa can recognize speech and Google Assistant can also recognize speech. Which one do you want? Okay, so in that case it is not an explicit intent, rather it is an implicit intent. Any activity which is able to recognize speech can be called using recognizer intent. Okay, please remember that. And before calling this intent, I'm putting some extra values. What is the first one? Okay, this is not required, but I'm still putting it for the standard purpose. Okay, what is the language which you want me to listen to while the user is speaking? Okay, for example, English and French will look it's similar with the way in which they're writing, because they use the same English alphabets. Okay, so what language is he speaking? So I should be able to understand that and process accordingly. So extra language, another way, why am I putting it as extra? If you remember the first program we did for Fibonacci, taking data from one activity to another activity, I put extra into the intent and I got that extra in the second activity. So extra is just nothing but just an additional information, extra information, which is passed along with that particular intent. So you can see I dot put extra language. I'm saying locale dot get default. Get the default language which the user has chosen in that particular phone, because I'm just going to recognize it. Okay. Second one, if this is not compulsory, but if you want to show something below that mic, okay, as a prompt to the user to say something, what do you want to do? Okay, so that's why I put the word prompt. Okay, what is the prompt for this particular recognizer intent? What would you like to do? And then normally I will write only start activity, but here I've written start activity for result, and you see there is a line going through it. Okay, what do you mean by that striked out line? It means it is deprecated. Okay, I want you to understand this. It means that it is deprecated. What do you mean by deprecated? It means that Android developers do not support that particular line anymore. Okay, it doesn't mean it will not work. It will still work. I showed you how it worked yesterday. In this class, I'm going to use this way only. In another program where I need to use start activity for result, I will use the latest version. Okay, this is just because most of the code which is available right now into 2020 till 2020, whatever material you refer will be using this only. That's why I'm not leaving this away, because it should not get confused if I use the new code directly. So there is an old way, there is a new way. This is the old way which I have highlighted, and I'm using that only in this particular program. Okay, in the next program where I need to go to another activity for result, I'll use the second or the new way of doing the same code. Okay, so here just understand, right now just ignore this strike through. Okay, I will fix that in the next program. Okay, so start activity for result I comma speech code. Okay, what is the speech code? It's just a number, but I'm creating it as a constant value because it's full caps. Okay, and number doesn't matter, it is your wish, whatever number you want to give. Just for me to understand, instead of remembering numbers, I just remember the word called speech based code. Okay, so that's all. And why am I creating an activity for result is because, please understand this, guys. So far, whatever, for example, Fibonacci program, what we did, you took the number from the first activity, you went to the second activity, you generated Fibonacci series with the number what the first activity gave you. Simple. Okay, you don't come back to the first activity at all. You never come back with the data. Okay, it's a one-way communication from one activity to another activity. Very simple. But here, it is not the case. All right, I'll give you some examples also to understand this. Let's say that WhatsApp. Okay, in WhatsApp, let's say you're setting your profile picture. Okay, when you set your profile picture, you say change picture, and Android will pull up a dialog to you from gallery, from file manager, or from Google Drive. You can pick from a lot of places. Okay, that is another activity which is coming in front of you. You are in the profile picture activity of your WhatsApp app. Okay, in that one, you click on change profile. It takes you to another place. Okay, like your file manager or Google Drive. It takes you to another activity. All right, and you choose a picture. Once you choose the picture, you are coming back to the profile picture activity of WhatsApp. With what? With the image which you chose in that activity, which means it is not one-way communication, rather it is a two-way communication. I hope you follow, right? Okay, when activities, one activity passes data to another activity, it is and nothing, it expects nothing back, then it is a one-way activity. All right, but in this case, another example, what I am doing right now is I am bringing up the speech recognizer. Google's mic is coming in front. Okay, so that is not my activity. I did not create that activity. It's done by Google. You saw that when I tried to run that yesterday, it says allow Google to record audio. Okay, and you allowed it. That is because I didn't write any permission code. I didn't write anything because that is Google's activity. All right, so Google's activity came in front. Okay, that's the second activity for me. So what is the first activity for me? Main activity, the one which I am writing the code in. So if I just say start activity, I'll be able to see the Google's mic. But after I speak, nothing will come back to my program, my activity. So for that, I'm writing start activity for result, because I want two-way. I want you to send data and I want you to get back data. Here, what am I sending? I am sending a recognizer intent with default language and what would you like to do. This is the data which I am sending to that activity. And when I speak something, I am speaking into the Google's activity, and what Google has recognized my speech as, that text is coming back to main activity in my particular program. So it is activity for result. Please remember that. Okay. So at this particular line number 50, what do you see? Google's speech recognizer will come in front of you. Okay, and once you speak, once you have completed or finished speaking, okay, this activity, the Google's activity will go off, and this method, it will come back to my activity, the main activity, and this method will be called on activity result. It takes three parameters. Can you see that here? It gives you a returns with three parameters. Number one, which is the request code? Okay, number two, what is the result code? And number three, what is the data which comes back? It's like two ways, isn't it? So I send data through put extra. They are sending data through intent as data. Okay, and it is also an extra, but I will come to that. So request code, what will be the request code? Speech code. Because you started this activity with a particular request code, I'll get that activity with the same request code. So you can see that I've given three conditions, taking all the three into consideration. Request code, I'm switching it because this class I'm going to add a little bit more codes. Okay, so speech code is there, and let's say if data is not equal to null. What do you mean by this if condition? It just simply says that something comes back. If nothing comes back, I don't need to do anything. You can just skip this code and just be normal. Okay, if you don't speak anything, after some time Google's mic will go off and then it will come back to my program. That time data is not having something. It is equal to null. If it is equal to null, it will come out of the if condition and don't do anything. It just comes out. Okay, but if you have spoken something, data will not be null because whatever you spoke is right now there in data. Second one, if you have spoken everything and everything went smoothly, result will be always okay. All right, and in that case, I'm getting inside the if condition and I'm seeing what was the request code. Since I have passed it here as speech code, okay, I'm doing these two lines of code. What is that? Get whatever the user has spoken from the data which is passed to me. Okay, and it always comes as a string array list extra. Okay, string of array list. All right, and from that I'm getting extra results and getting the first value, because all the data is stored in the first part of your string list. Okay, so I just get that value and store it in a string and set that string as a spoken text. That's it. This is what we did yesterday. Today, we are going to modify it a little bit. Okay, I hope you are understanding what is happening. After this line of code is written, start activity for result. When the activity comes back to main activity, okay, this is the method which will be called. Right, this is something I hope you have understood. We will see a little bit more extra now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, since I told this is like a voice notepad, I want to create, let's say, opening a file, saving a file also. Okay, I'm not going to go in depth of it, guys. Simple ones I'll do. Okay, if you want complicated ones, we will do later. But right now, let me keep it simple. So I'm going to create another method which will say public void, let's say open file. Let's try to open already existing file in my laptop, or sorry, in my phone. Okay, in the emulator or in the phone, you might already have some log files or txt files, some text file might be there in your system. What if I don't want to type anything, but I want to read or I want to edit with a text which is already available? What should I do? Okay, please note again, in order to open a file, just picturize this before I write the code. When you click on open file, I want you to bring the file explorer. You know what's a file explorer, right? In Android, most of the time you would have done this. When you choose a profile picture or something, a dialog will come which will ask you to choose it from the gallery or from the file manager or from Google Drive. Like that, you'll get a lot of options. That's called that dialog. Okay, so how do I bring that dialog, or how do I know which app to open with? If you remember this, I've done something like this with respect to sharing when I taught you intent filter. Okay, if I try to share a particular text file and I am passing it, okay, that I used an intent, an implicit intent. If you remember that code, something like that I'm going to write intent space I is equal to new intent. Okay, but it's not an explicit intent. It is going to be an implicit intent. So I'm going to say intent dot which action do you want to do? I want to open a document. Please note, I want to open document. I am still not sure with which you will open the document. Why am I telling that? Because I might have many file managers in my phone. Okay, so whichever app is allowing that. For example, in my emulator, I don't have much. I have only one file manager. So only that will get opened up immediately. But in your phone, if you try this, you will get through 2 or 3 options. Whichever app is possible to open a document will be shown to you. Okay, so now I've just told open document. I've not told which type of data you'll be able to open. So I'm going to say I.set type. What type of data you're looking for? Text slash star. What do you mean by this text slash star? Any type of file which is text based. Okay, what are text based files? XML, Java, your Kotlin file, or your CSS or HTML. Whatever file you basically type text into is considered as text file. So text slash star. That's all. The type of intent which I'm looking for. Okay. Second thing, I'm going to put some extra value. Okay, or for this I don't want to, I'll keep it simple as like this. I wanted to open a document which is of type text. That's it. Okay, now I'm going to write start activity for result. Again, I'm going to call the same method, which intent, this intent. And is there a request code? So far no. Let me create one. I'll create it as open underscore code. Okay, it's not created because I have to yet do it. Let me just create a constant field and let me just put it as 222. Okay. Okay, that's another constant value, open code. So I'm going to say open code. This is that's all is the code. Okay, I'm only writing this much. I'll write one more for saving a file. So I'll say public void save file. Okay, now let's say that into that big text box in the design, I typed something or I spoke something and then I want to save it. I want to save whatever is there in this. Normally Notepad means that only, right? You type something, you save it, you open something and you can edit it, something like that. That's what I'm trying to do here, but only using voice commands. Okay, next one also I'm going to do the same thing. Intent space I is equal to new intent, which will say intent dot action to create a new document. So this is the next action I'm looking for, create a document. Okay, here again I'm going to set the type because it's important to set the type of data which you will be creating. So I'm going to say text slash star, which means any type of text based file. Okay, that's all. One more thing, if you want, this is enough actually, but if you want to give a default file name every time you open it, you can put an extra. It is also not required, but I'm just simply putting it for your understanding. Okay, I'm going to say intent, put extra. I'm going to call intent dot title, extra underscore title, and you can also give your own name. Like for example, I'll say myfile.txt. Like this also you can give. This is completely optional, guys. If you want, you can keep it. Otherwise, just leave it. Okay, next, start activity for result I, and this one I'll keep it as save underscore code. Okay, now let me click here and say create a constant field. Let it be an integer. Done. So I've created another constant value called save code. Okay, now please note, I've just created these methods. I've never called them. When do you want to call them? This is the next big question we have. Okay, so when do you want to call them? I want to call them. Normally I call them on button click, isn't it? But this program, I don't want to do button click. I want you to issue a voice command. Okay, give me a voice command with a particular thing. Most of you would have by now, you know how Google Assistant works, how Siri works, and how Alexa works. All right, so when you give a particular keyword, it pops up. Okay, so it's waiting for that keyword and it is listening constantly in the background. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to click on the button and then bring the mic. Then you tell something. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. But you see that those assistants have already been listening to you. Okay, and they're waiting for that keyword. So how would they have written the code if whatever you have spoken has the word called Alexa or has the word hey Google or Google? Okay, if it is there, then I would like to do something. But I'm not going to go to that. Okay, because in that case I have to constantly listen. That's too much for me right now. But what I will do is when you tap on this voice command, a command will come, right? Into that command, if you say open, I will open a text file. If you say save, I'll try to save whatever is there in the text field. Like that I will do. Okay, so first of all, let me just write, let me go back to the main activity. Okay, so now I have open document, an open file and save file. I have two methods. When will I call them? Okay, so look at this. What I am going to do here is I am going to write the switch case as it is. Already we have written speech code. Okay, and in this one I am going to write, right now I've written without any condition, isn't it? But I'm going to write conditions now. Okay, what is the condition? First of all, get this data. Okay, whatever the user has spoken, get me that. Either way I require this. Now please understand what I'm writing. I'm going to write a simple if condition. If spoken text, that's a text, it's a string, isn't it? So I'll just convert it into lowercase. In case you have shouted, it will make it into capital letter. Okay, but anyway, I'll just keep it as dot equals. All right, so let's say that in case you say the word clear. Okay, what do you mean by clear? If you have told only one word called clear, I am going to clear the contents which are typed in this big text box, which is et contents. So I'll just call contents, which is nothing but the edit text. Okay, dot set text blank. I hope you follow. When I tap on the voice command button, okay, you know that this method will be called. Okay, voice command will be called, and you'll be listening to what would you like to do. When the mic comes, if I say the word clear, when I come back to activity result, okay, the spoken text will be clear. So I'm just telling, if it is equal to clear, then clear the content. That's all. Now I'm going to write some more else if conditions. So else if, okay, and you can write it as another nested switch case also. I leave it to you. Okay, spoken text dot to lowercase. I'm just putting it to lowercase because it's very strict in case. Java is very strict in case sensitivity. So I'll just keep it like that and say dot open. If you tell the word open, call this method called open file. I hope you follow. Call this method called as open file. All right. Now I'm going to copy paste the same thing once more. Sorry, here. And I'm going to say if it is equal to save or store. I'll just put it as store because sometimes my mic will be a little bit different. So I'll just say save file. Okay. If it is none of these three commands, if it is not the word clear, if it is not the word open, if it is not the word store, then type whatever the user has told into that text box, which is the last line of code which you have already written. I'll put it as else condition. That's all. Okay, guys, before I proceed, I want you to understand what has happened so far. Okay. Number one, when you tap on the button at the bottom, you've written the code. When you tap on the voice command button, I'm calling this method. Let me go to that method. In that method, what have I done? I have told bring Google's mic. Okay, I'm telling it all in simple words, not in the code way. Okay, I'm just telling bring Google's mic and go to that particular mic. That's all. So once I've gone to the mic, I speak something there and then I come back. When I come back, where do I come? I come to activity result. Okay, when you went to that Google's mic, you went with a particular code. Okay, if that code is coming back to me, all right, I will get whatever you have spoken. And if you have, what you have spoken is the word clear, exactly only one word clear, I will clear whatever is there in the text box. If you have told only one word called open, I will give you a dialog to open. This is what. Okay, I'll give you a dialog to open a particular text file which is there in your phone. Okay, otherwise, if you told the word store, then I will call this method called save file. Okay. Last one, if it is none of these three words, what I've used, clear, open or store, what do you want me to do? Whatever I spoke, put it in that text box. That's all. I hope till this, it is clear. Okay, I'll proceed. Now, what am I supposed to do next? Okay, please note this, this becomes a little bit more lengthy now, but if you follow it, it will be simple. When I call open file, see this one is very simple. This also is very simple. The first if condition and the last else condition is very, very simple. Only these two we have to be careful about. Open file. Okay. What am I trying to do when you are doing open file? Let me go to the code. Let's see what I've written. I've written I is equal to new intent open document, which means I'll get a dialog to open a particular file which is already existing and its MIME type should be of text. That's all I've told, which means any file, a log file, a XML file, a HTML file, a Java file, whatever is there in your phone will be recognized by this particular intent. And once you have chosen it, please note it is a two-way activity, which means I am going to another activity, but I'll be coming back with some result because whichever document you're opening in your phone should come back to me. So which method will be called? Again, same method, activity result. Now you'll understand why I wrote this if condition on top. Okay, if I'm going to search for a file in my phone, that file is coming back to me, then data will not be null. If you have chosen a file, if you have not chosen a file and you have cancelled this data will be null. Then this if condition will not be executed, nothing will happen in your program. Okay, but my condition is if data is not equal to null. What do you mean by that? Something is there, something is coming back to my activity, and the result code says okay. Okay, now when you see, please note, this is the one which triggered the activity result. What is the code? The code is open code. Okay, what case have I written? Speech code. Will it work? No. So this entire case will be ignored. So I'm going to write another case below this break. I'll write case open code. Okay, in case the user has written the word open code, what am I supposed to do? Okay, this is one way. I will write it shortly, but let's finish the second one also. This is open file. What if the user clicked on save file? I typed something in my text box and I'm opening the voice command and saying save, okay, or store. What will happen? Save file will be called. When save file will be called, this is the activity for result code which is getting called, and this is the request code. Okay, so here when I'm trying to switch the request code, it is not speech code, it is not open code, but rather it is a another code. So I'm going to say save code. In case that is called, what do you want me to do? Okay, that's all. Two big things have been written here. Okay, I hope you follow what has happened. Now the code inside that might be a little bit more Java oriented than Android oriented, but still, let me just, I hope this much is clear to you. Okay, so three codes are there, guys. Speech code, open code, save code. When will I call speech code? If I just tap on the button and the Google mic comes, when you come back, I'll get this one. Okay, second one, when I say open file, or if I just tell the word open, I will open the document with this particular code. And finally, when I say save, I want you to save code. So these three codes are the only thing which are there in the switch case. This is the first switch case, the second switch case, and the third one. The first one we have completed. Let's do the second and third one. Okay, how do you open a file? Okay, please note, data, what is coming here, normally will be indicating to a place, a location in the system, in the Android system where it is stored. So in web terms, we use the word uniform resource identifier, URI. Okay, so I'm going to bring that. I'm going to find, please note, in this case, what am I expecting? I'm expecting a file which is stored in your phone. Open file, isn't it? I'm trying to open a text file which is stored in your phone. So I'm not going to take that file because I don't have permission to take anybody's file, but I have permission to read that file. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say get the place where this particular thing is located. So for that, I'm going to create URI. Okay, please note, capital U, R and I small. Okay, let me just keep the small letter URI as the object name is equal to data. What is passed to me here? Please note this data. I'm going to say dot get data. Please note what type of return does get data return. Okay, URI. So I've got the URI where it is stored. Now I am going to write pure Java code. Okay, in normally those who have already worked with files in Java, you know that Java works with files as a stream. Input stream, output stream, you would have come across that word. I'm going to use the same thing here. I'm going to say input stream that belongs to java.io, not belonging to Android. It is just Java's code. Okay, so I'm going to name it as IP stream, input stream is equal to, okay, I'm going to use Android's content resolver, get content resolver, because in Android, what type of data is stored, how it is stored, all is understood by the content resolver. We have used the same word somewhere before in content provider. Okay, so any app which provides content becomes content provider. Your file manager is a content provider. It provides content from various parts of your phone, your SD card, your external memory, etc., etc. So get content resolver dot open. You can see that option automatically comes. Open input stream. Okay, and return type is input stream. What parameter am I supposed to pass? Object of URI. So I'll just pass. I already have that. I'll just pass that. Okay, done. There is an error. There is a, I mean, it is right that there is an error because you are trying to open a file. What if the file does not exist and my system will crash? Okay, if I am trying to open a URI which is blank, this line will throw an exception and it will crash. So to avoid that, your IDE will tell, please put a try catch. You can see that it says unhandled exception surrounded with try catch. Let me just click on it. Okay, just puts a try catch around it. You see that it says file not found exception. To make it general, I'll remove the word file not found. I'll just make it as exception. Anything happens with my code, just throw the stack trace, don't crash my app, come out of the program. Okay, so next line. I've got the stream, which means basically Java has recognized what is the file. But reading it is not so simple, isn't it? You have seen this buffered reader. You would have come across that. Okay, in Java. This requires core Java knowledge, guys. I think you would have done it in file management. Okay, in Java. So if you have not, please do go back and refer. Okay, so I'm going to call a buffered reader. Again, belonging to java.io. All right, input output operations. I'm going to say reader is equal to new buffered reader. Okay, this is an object of buffered reader. What am I supposed to pass to the buffered reader? I'm supposed to pass an object of reader. Okay, so I have an input stream. I need a reader. So what should I use? I should use new input stream reader. Okay, and what am I supposed to pass to that input stream reader? The input stream. Done. Okay, this is the code, except this part what you see here. Remaining parts are basically pure Java only. Okay, that is done. Buffered reader is done. Now, even though I have a buffered reader, I'll be able to read one line at a time. Line at a time. Please note, one line at a time I'll be able to read. In that case, I need a string buffer. I'll use a string buffer. Okay, let me just name it as buffer is equal to new string buffer. Okay, why am I using string buffer? Because I want to build a string from different lines. Every text file will have n number of lines. Okay, I just need to pull all those lines and then put it here. So I'm going to use a string buffer to go through each and every line. Okay, so please note the way in which I'm writing. Okay, I'm going to create a simple string as this is like a temp. Okay, I've just put S, but you can use the word temp if you want. Temporary string. Every line I need a placeholder to temporarily store that line, isn't it? So I just use the word string temp. Okay, I'm going to write a while loop. Okay, let me put it in English, then I'll write the code. I'm going to say, as long as you are not at the last line. Please understand this. If there is a text file, till you reach the last line, keep reading. Which means till I am able to get read line with a value. Okay, till read line does not return null, keep going. So how I'm writing, you please note. Okay, I'm going to write as temp. Please note I've used two double brackets. Okay, and is equal to, not double equal to, equal to. Okay, I'm getting whatever is there in the reader. So I'm going to say reader, that is the buffered reader dot read line. Please note the method. Okay, what does read line do? It will read the first line. Okay, like that. I mean, first line right now. Next time when you run, second line, third line, fourth line, fifth line, it will keep reading because I've written it in a loop. When you read the first line, what will happen? The first line will be stored in temp. Okay, so I'm going to write read line, but that is not an if condition or the while condition kind of code because I've used only one equal to. Okay, now when I say set temp is equal to reader dot read line, it will be working perfectly till I reach the last line. After I reach the last line, when I'm trying to read the next line, nothing is there. So it will return null. So I'm going to say till it says not equal to null. Till this line does not return null to me. Okay, I'm repeating again. While reader.readLine, when it is assigned to a value called temp, if this returns, till it does not return null, keep looping. Okay, so all I need to do is I'll say buffer.append, add to the buffer the temp value. Okay, don't stop with that. Also, everything is a new line, isn't it? So I'll just put /n, new line to be added to it. Okay, now last part, what I'm going to say is content, which means that our result content. Okay, that's the edit text dot set text. Okay, what do you want? Whatever content was there in that file, I wanted to put it in my text box. So how do I get the content? Call the buffer and convert it into a string, a proper string. That's all. Okay, this is how I open a file which is there in my phone somewhere, and I bring all the content of that text file into my app. Okay, that's all I've done in the open code case. Okay, please try this on your own. I know it's going a little bit different away from our actual topic, but please do try this. Okay, and you'll understand how it works. Just try to understand each and every line before typing it out. So open code is done. I'll go to the save code now. I'll explain if you want once again later in the afternoon or something if you want. Okay, but let's try to finish the code. Let's go to the second part. I hope this is clear. Okay, so basically what will happen in English, if I would like to tell that, when you tap on the voice command, I listen to the voice command. Once if the voice command says open, I'm going to call this method called open file. When I call open file method, I am opening the system dialog, which will be able to open a document of text based document. Okay, so let's say that I have a file in downloads folder in my phone. Okay, so I just click on that. When I click on that, I do not bring that file here. I am just bringing the location of that file back to my activity. So when I open code is called, I get the location of that particular file and I'm trying to read that particular file using input stream. Okay, and this code only does reading that particular file, getting the data from that file, buffering each and every line from that file and appending it and making it into a proper string. Just set that text to my text box. That's all. Okay, that's all I have done with respect to this. Next one, save code. Let's write the save code part. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay. All right. So second part is the save code. How do you save your code? Okay. So all I'm going to do is create a document, which means whatever I have already typed in the text box, I want you to get that and store it. Okay. In a separate file, a new text file I want you to create. How do I create it? It's very simple. Let's call, okay, this is not pure Java exactly, but this is part of Android Java. We call it as parcel file descriptor because we are sending some data. It's like a hotel sending some parcel to another place. So text is actually written in my activity. I want to send this to some other place. So I'm going to call it as parcel file descriptor, which belongs to android.os. Okay, I'm going to just put it as pfd is equal to, again, I'm going to bring the content resolver, get content resolver dot open file descriptor. You can see that it just tells get the file descriptor. Okay, and for, please note that it asks you to pass two parameters. Number one, where. Okay, when you clicked on save in the save option, okay, it comes back here. It already knows where you have clicked on save. So that is there in data, just like how I did here, dot get data. If I say data dot get data, it returns URI. So that's my first operation. What is the second one? What mode would you like to open this file? I want to open it in write mode. So I'm going to put W. I hope this code is clear, guys. Okay. I'm opening Android OS class called as parcel file descriptor. I'm using the content resolver like how I used it here to open the file descriptor with a particular URL or URI. Okay, how do I get this URI? The place where you chose. You would have chosen downloads or music or recording or alarm or wherever, whichever folder you want. That folder's location will be there. And in which mode would you like to open this file? Write mode. Okay, that's it. And there's an error. Why there's an error? Again, you can see that it's unhandled exception, file not found, surrounded with a try catch. I'll just remove the word file not found. I'll just say any exception for that sake. Okay, so that there's no more problems for me. Now, if I used an input stream for this case, what would I use here? File output stream, because I'm going to print it out. Okay, I'm going to name it as OP stream, output stream is equal to new file output stream. With that one, I'm going to say call that parcel file descriptor and say get file description. That's all. Get the description of the file. I will create a new file with this. Okay, all I need to do right now is into that stream write. Okay, please note what write expects. It expects an integer or a byte array. But what I want to store now is a text. It's a stream of text which I want to store in that particular file. So how would I get that? Let me call the contents, which is result content dot get text dot toString. Okay, but that's not the data type which I'm expecting. It expects a byte array. How do I do that? Just say dot get bytes. Okay, convert this string to byte array and give me. So I'll just say get bytes. Done. Our work here is done. Our program is done, guys. Let's just run the program and understand how they work. Okay. you will have to go through the code one by one slowly, and you'll be able to understand it. It's not that difficult. Okay, here it is all going to work with voice command. I would not recommend you to use an emulator. Rather, I would ask you to use your phone itself. It will be better, because when you speak something, your phone might recognize it better than using an emulator, which might twist the words which I tell. Okay, that's why I'm recommending you to use an actual phone than an emulator. Okay, as I've already told you yesterday, in case you're using emulator, if you want to still use an emulator, don't forget to enable the microphone. Right now you see that I'm restarting the emulator once again, isn't it? So now if I go to extra extended controls, okay, and if I go to the microphone part, you see all those options which I enabled yesterday have again been disabled. This is what I told. Every time you restart your emulator, all these microphones part will be reset, because if you turn it on, it will use the microphone of your laptop, isn't it? So it should not be always utilizing it. That's why it automatically turns it off. So what am I supposed to do? Turn it back all on, because I want to use it now. Okay, so I've just turned it on. Please remember, if you are still adamant of using the emulator, remember not to keep these off. If you keep these off, it will never work. It'll just say, I didn't understand, try again. Okay, and you'll keep on trying. It will not work till the virtual microphone has been utilized. Okay, please remember that. So let's wait for the app to install, and then I'll show you how what we are expecting out of this particular program. Yes, it's installing now. Okay, just to demonstrate what I did yesterday, if you type something here and click on speak.
Hello world.
Okay, the system speaks out the text what you had written. Now I want to do the reverse. Okay, first I'm going to just give a voice command. When I tap on voice command, you remember what we did yesterday. Okay, this is the code which is getting executed as soon as you click on voice command. Okay, a new intent should be brought in front of me. Okay, which will have English as the language, and the prompt will be, what would you like to do? So let me just tap on this. It's asking whether allow Google to record audio. Let's say all. Now, whatever I speak should be recognized by Google's intent and should be put in the text box back. Okay, so this is an activity which is coming, which is right now loading. This is not from mine. This is Google's activity. And when I come back to my activity, now my activity is in the background paused. So once this Google's activity goes away, okay, and when I come back to my activity, you see that whatever I spoke is come here. Okay, because my Google's activity went off, and whatever I spoke into Google's activity is now returned back to my activity as a text. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, by the way, one more thing, in order for that to work properly, you also need internet. Okay, if your laptop does not have internet and you're trying in the emulator with this might not work that smoothly. Okay, so let me just try now again. I want to clear whatever is written here. Please note, again, I'm going to click on the voice command. I'm going to say only one word, clear. Okay, once I say the word clear, it comes back to speech code. Okay, and since I've only said the word, if it is only the word clear, what should it do? It should clear the content which is there in this text box to blank. So let me just try that now. Clear. Okay, now since the command is clear, when it goes back to my activity, I have written the code. When if the command is clear the text box. The text box is now blank. Okay, now let's try to open a file which is there in the emulator by giving a voice command. Open. Okay, now you see, since I gave the command as open, this method was called, open file was called. It went here. Okay, and it says open an intent which will be able to open a document. Since I don't have any other app in my phone, file manager has opened up. Okay, and now I will be able to choose a file from this list. There are no text files. So first let me save a text file, then I'll come back to open it. Okay, let me do that now. Let me just come out. I'll open, by the way, when I came back here now, I didn't have any data. I did not click on any open file. So what happens when I open file? No data is there. It just keeps quiet, doesn't do anything. So now let me go back and say save the file. So first let me just open the voice command. I will just tell something so that the text is manipulated in the text box. And then when I click on the button once again and say save, okay, I want to save whatever is there in the text box into a file in my Android system. Okay, I would like to tell again that the emulator in your phone might not be as efficient as your actual phone. Okay, with respect to the statements. Okay, anyway, something has come there. So now I'm going to issue another voice command to store. Please note the word which I'm looking for is to store. Let me just issue another voice command. Store. Okay, now it's asking where to store it. Okay, because when I clicked on store, please note save file was called. And save file, what did I say? I would like you to save a text type of file and create a new document. And I said the title of that file will be myfile.txt. You can see that at the bottom of my screen, you see that myfile.txt is there. Okay, you can change it if you want. Please note, it's not like I have to use that. I just gave an extra title. If you want, you can keep this or you can use something else also. I'm going to just click on save as it is, myfile.txt. Done. Okay, I've just done this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear. Awesome. Okay. Let me try to open. Okay, now I'm able to see the file which I created. Let me just tap on it. Okay, you see whatever I saved in that file is now being opened here. Okay, I saved a file using my voice command and I've opened that file using the same voice command. I will be able to clear this if I say the word clear, and I hope you understood how this voice notepad works. Okay, that's all for this particular program. Please try this program on your own, guys, and I would again recommend you to use an actual phone. Okay, with this I'll stop for today.